What's up, nerds? My name's Corey Bergeron. You're watching Corey Bergeron Recordings, and we are back with a brand new video. I mix music for a living. I mix a ton of songs, and on every mix, my priority is to deliver a high-quality mix in a reasonable amount of time. In order to do so, it's important to create efficient systems and a workflow that allows me to minimize the time between receiving the multitrack from the client and delivering a high-quality mix. But guess what? Over the last couple of years, I've introduced using a hardware compressor into my mixing process. It certainly adds some time up front, but it's become an important part of my mixing process. So in this video, I'm going to break down how I use my vintage 1176 on every single one of my mixes. Okay, so we're now in the computer, and what we're looking at is a Pro Tools session, and we have over 20 vocal tracks, and this is all just for one song, and this isn't an uncommon thing, and I have to mix this. So let's give it a quick little listen here.
The stars are shining bright, but I never see a light on me. I try to close my eyes thinking of your smile, but my phone is next to me.
Cool. So what I'm hearing is a bunch of vocals that are recorded, performer singing into a microphone, into an interface. There is no EQ or compression. I'm hearing a couple like plosives on some of the P's, as well as I'm hearing a lot of dynamics. It's really loud and then it's really quiet. As a mixer, this is really common. Now, when I'm engineering a vocal session, I'm comfortable recording with as much or as little treatment as I feel necessary on the way in. And if I'm recording a vocal that I want to be upfront and in your face like this song is, I will be happy to slam it through my 1176 doing 10 to 20 dB of gain reduction, and that's sort of where this workflow originated. Most of the vocals I receive are untreated, so it gives me the opportunity to kind of like engineer the vocals. I want to run these through the 1176. We have 20 plus vocal files. They're all just over 3 minutes and 30 seconds in length, and if I'm going to run them through the hardware, I have to do it in real time, meaning that I have to wait the full 3 minutes and 30 plus seconds for each track. It would take me a lifetime. So here is the really silly and stupid strategy I've come up with and have used over the last year to minimize the amount of time this process takes. Also, if you have any suggestions on how to do this faster, tell me, please, comments. I would love to know. Was that the most insane thing you've ever seen? We now have all the vocals lined up back to back to back to back to back. This minimizes how much time we need to spend running them through the compressor. You can see here that I've put all the vocals on this send track, and the output of the send track is 15. That physically comes out of my converters over here on the patch bay and patches directly into the 1176. I leave that set up at all times. It then comes out of the 1176 and returns into 15 here. So if I press play now, you will be able to hear what this vocal sounds like going through the 1176.
Staying up all night, waiting for your call, my phone is still on. Staying up all night, waiting for your call, my phone is still on. How can I sleep without hearing your voice? How can I sleep without hearing your voice?
So instantly, it sounds way more upfront. It sounds closer to that final product, but there's still a couple issues with it. Before we address those, let's talk about the compression. So I haven't changed a single setting on it. If we jump over to the compression cam, you can see that we have the slowest attack and the fastest release. And this is generally where I like to start because that makes the transients really pop out and makes all the words punch. I have no idea how much gain reduction is happening. I'm not looking at the compressor. I can go and I can turn up and down this send track here. And what that will do is essentially manipulate how much audio is going to the compressor. It's like I'm turning up and down the input on the compressor. And so if I want to compress less, I can just turn this send track down. So let's try that out.
Staying up all night, waiting for your call, my phone is still on. How can I sleep without hearing your voice?
So just for demonstration purposes, I've flipped the attack to be as fast as possible. So we have fast attack, fast and release, and let's hear what that sounds like on the vocal.
Staying up all night, waiting for your call, my phone is still on. How can I sleep without hearing your voice?
So it's kind of squashed the transients right at the start. This could be good for a backup vocal, but let me put that back. I prefer the attack open. I mess with the release a little bit, but I think having the release as fast as possible really makes it pump and adds that kind of aggression that I want to add to these vocals. I'm happy with these compression settings. It's worth mentioning the goal of this entire process is to treat the vocals in a way where I'm controlling the dynamics and I'm managing the EQ balance of everything. So later in the process, it becomes much more manageable to make small adjustments to get to where I want to go. So let's go ahead and let's start addressing kind of the EQ of this vocal. EQ wise, there's not that much wrong with it. I'm going to try pushing some top end, some mid range, and maybe controlling those plosives just a little bit. But first, this isn't something I do on every vocal. If there is a little bit of room ambience, and even if there's just a little bit, the compression will show you. It'll pop out in between all the words. This plugin works best when you're barely using it. So let's see what it does here.
My wallpaper of a beautiful face, my screensaver is another empty place. My wallpaper of a beautiful face, my screensaver is another empty place.
Great, it's doing very little, but what it is doing, I'm liking. So I'm gonna leave that as is.
My wallpaper of a beautiful face, my screensaver is another empty place. My wallpaper of a beautiful face, my screensaver.
Cool, I'm just pushing the mids a little bit more. I think it's important in this step in my process. I've learned that a little bit goes a long way. You don't want to paint yourself into a corner. If you feel confident about the decisions you're making, great, move forward. If you're not feeling 100% confident, you can leave that decision for later. But I'm liking this, just cutting a little bit of low end, adding a little bit of mid range. So then the next step, I'm applying these settings across every single vocal file. And there are vocals that are in a lower octave. The vocalist could be singing one part really close to the mic and then they could be singing one part farther back. So doing big EQ moves might sound good on certain sections, but it might be problematic on other sections. That's why I like using the dynamic EQ that is Soothe. We have 3 instances here, and they're all kind of taming different things. The thing about Soothe is that you want to use it intentionally. Don't just slap it on there because someone told you to. So this instance here, I like to use when there's mid-range frequencies that just kind of poke out here and there. Let's listen to the delta. So that's what it's affecting. So let's hear what that sounds like.
My wallpaper of a beautiful face, my screensaver is another empty place.
Cool. So that's awesome. I'm confident that that applied across the board is only going to do good things. Let's keep on moving here. This is my Vox low end one. The like fundamental note of a vocal sometimes gets really boomy, which can hit the compressor really hard, which isn't desirable. This is a fun way of taming just the lowest note in a vocal performance.
My wallpaper of a beautiful face, my screensaver is
You can see it's not doing much, and that's okay because there's no need for it to be working hard. Let's see if we can find a low part.
My wallpaper of a beautiful face, my screensaver is another empty place.
So you can see the Soothe is working harder. So it's great because it's dynamic. It's only engaging when it needs to. Okay, this is if the mid-range is like super unruly.
I keep waiting for your call from you for me, 'cause I don't have the courage to dial and speak.
Okay, so let's go back to the start here. I'm going to show you the raw vocal without compression.
Staying up all night, waiting for your call, my phone is still on. How can I sleep without hearing your voice?
Now let's listen to that vocal just going through the compression.
Staying up all night, waiting for your call, my phone is still on. How can I sleep without hearing your voice?
And now let's hear it with the plugins on.
Staying up all night, waiting for your call, my phone is still on. How can I sleep without hearing your voice?
Awesome. Okay, I think those are all steps in the right direction, and I am confident that I can hit record, let this whole thing record through the compressor, and I will be happy with the results. So let's do it. Let's record these vocals and maybe go see what Taylor's up to. We got the B-roll camera. See what's up, Taylor. Let's get these lights turned on. There we go. Got even more doors. What's this? Door number 3. Door number 4. Oh, door number 5. Yo, Taylor, what are you working on? What could that even mean? Taylor, you alright? There we go. Vocals have been run through the compressor. Now we have to put this whole thing back together. This is insane. Here we go. Okay, I've put all the vocals back together. And I will go ahead and just, boom, commit that. Would you look at that? Nice and clean. Look at these dynamics. They are nice and controlled. And I've just put auto-tune on the track just to kind of get it closer to that final sound. So let me play this section here.
The stars are shining bright, but I never see the light on me. The stars are shining bright, but I never see the light on me. I try to close my eyes thinking of your smile, but my phone is next to me. I try to close my eyes thinking of your smile, but my phone is next to me.
So the biggest thing here is I feel like the EQ of the vocal is a lot more consistent, and I feel like the dynamics are definitely more consistent, which makes it very easy to mix. When I do this, I consider this part of the mix prep process. So that is how I use my hardware compressor in a, in the box style mix. I will do the same thing on a bass guitar. I will do it on acoustic guitars. I take the same approach where I'll do a little bit of treatment in the box before it hits the compressor to get me close to the final sound. So when I'm mixing, I don't need to do all this, leg work just to get the mix in a place where it's starting to sound like music. So this is a big part of my mixing process. My mixing process is always evolving. I'm always looking for new ways to make things sound better. So there you go. There's a fun little video for you. Was that the craziest thing you've ever seen? Is there a better way to do this? Please, if there is, let me know in the comments down below. Do you like videos like this? I'm an open book, so if you have any questions about my mixing process, I'm happy to answer them or to make a video about it. That is it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. Subscribe, like, comment, all those things. I will see you in the next video.